Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am NOR-AIN CASANOVA KUSAIN BAIS-2A. So this time I am going to discuss the assigned topic to me, which is the rise of the Abbasid dynasty.
The rise of the Abbasid Empire in 750 CE. The Abbasid dynasty was the third of the Islamic Caliphate to succeed the Islam by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It overthrew the Umayyad dynasty. In particular, they appealed to non-Arab Muslims known as Mawali who remained outside the kinship-based society of the Arabs and were perceived as a lower class within the Umayyad Empire. The Abbasid dynasty descended from the Muhammad youngest uncle Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, 566 to 653 CE, from whom dynasty takes its name. Muhammad ibn Ali, a great-grandson of Abbas, began to campaign for the return of power to the family of Muhammad, the Hashemites in Persia, during the reign of Umar II and Umayyad Caliph who ruled from the 717 to 720 CE. The power in Baghdad. They ruled as caliphs for most of the period from the capital in Baghdad in modern-day Iraq. After assuming authority of the Muslims' empire from the Umayyad in 750 CE, Abu al-Abbas' successor al-Mansur welcomed non-Arab Muslims to his court, while this helped integrated Arab and Persian cultures. It alienated the Arabs who had supported the Abbasid in their battles against the Umayyads. The Abbasid established new position of viziers, exerted greater influence. Many Abbasid caliphs were relegated to a more ceremonial role as Persian bureaucracy slowly replaced the old Arab aristocracy. The Abbasid, who ruled from Baghdad, had an unbroken line of caliphs for over 3 centuries, consolidating Islamic rule and cultivating great intellectual and cultural development in the Middle East, in the Golden Age of Islam. By 940 CE, however, the power of the caliphate under the Abbasid began waning as non-Arab gained influence and the various subordinate sultan and their emir became increasingly development. Decline of the Abbasid Empire. The Abbasid leadership worked to overcome the political challenges of a large empire with limited communication in the last half of 8th century, 750 to 800 CE. While the Byzantine Empire was fighting Abbasid rule in Syria and Anatolia, the Caliphate military operation focused on internal unrest. Local governors had begun to exert greater autonomy, using their increasing power to make their position hereditary. Simultaneously, former supporters of the Abbasid had broken away to create a separate kingdom around the Khorasan in northern Persia. Several factions left the empire to exercise independent authority. In 793 CE, the Shia, also called the Shiite dynasty of Idrisids, gained authority over Fez in Morocco. The Berber Kharijids set up an independent state in North Africa in 801 CE. A family of governors under the Abbasid became increasingly independent until they founded the Aghlabid Emirate in 830s. Within 50 years, the Idrisids in Maghreb and the Aghlabids of Ifriqiya, the Talonids of Ikhshidids of Misr became independent in Africa. By the 860s, governors in Egypt set up their own Talonid Emirate, so named for its founder Ahmad ibn Tulun, starting a dynastic rule separate from the Caliph. In the eastern territories, local governors decreased their ties to the central of Abbasid rule. The Safarids of Herat and the Samanids of Bukhara seceded in the 870s to cultivate a more Persian culture and rule. The Talonid dynasty managed Palestine, the Hijaz, and parts of Egypt. By 900 CE, the Abbasid controlled only central of Mesopotamia, and the Byzantine Empire began to reconquer western Anatolia. That's all. Thank you and shukran.